It's a beautiful Thursday evening at Mohawk Racetrack as we get set for 10 races in store for you tonight. We'll have a little bit of everything, some trotting races, some pacing races. The Ontario Sire Spring Series will continue. We're on to leg 2. And Randy, what a difference a week makes. Last Sunday, when you and I were here, it was snowing.
I know.
An absolute blizzard. And now tonight, it's just gorgeous.
It is really, really, excellent weather out there. It looks like, too, like maybe, I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like they maybe added some material to the track.
Okay.
Resurfaced it a little bit.
Well, we probably lost a bit last Thursday.
Could have, yeah, but the track looks really, really good out there. Everything just looks, good to go. And like you said, the weather is amazing tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, this is beautiful weather to race horses.
It sure is. And for
No
so
bugs
many of our
either.
people outside, they can take their winter snowsuits off.
Yeah, and
Maybe
not
you
have
don't
to worry
need the
about bugs.
balaclava tonight. Yeah, no bugs, but it's only a matter of time before they
It's a matter of time, but I always like the no bugs because, like I said, you and I both been around horses, and there's nothing worse than having to deal with bugs on horses.
Bug in your mouth, bug in your eyeballs, all sorts of things like that. So 10 races, as I mentioned, looking forward to tonight's program as we kick things off in the opener with trotters on the card. First race is for fillies and mares, 5-year-olds and younger, non-winners of 1 or $8,500 life with a field of 10. Now, what you're going to have to take into account tonight, for those of you who maybe played the races last Thursday or for those of you who missed the races last Thursday, is a lot of horses coming back in that did race on last Thursday's program will have excuses. And they're legit excuses because the track was a bit of a mess. We had a lot of snow. We had to grade the track after race number 6. So horses that were competing earlier on were going through a deeper surface than the horses after race number 6 were going through. They have a ton of excuses, but does Pahokee have an excuse or is she lazy?
Oh, I think she's lazy. No doubt about that. I mean, she's starting to run out of excuses. I'm going to put her right back up on top again, though. Call me crazy. Go ahead.
I'm crazy too.
Okay.
I'm with you.
There we go. So, Pahokee, hear me out on this, though. I, myself, Elisa, I think that all she is waiting, and she's got enough starts into her right now, 6 starts, 4 times in the top 3. Okay. In my opinion, I think it's time to send her down the road.
Yeah.
I say that she is a lazy filly. She's in the middle of the gate again with the 7-hole. I'm not 100% sure if she has the leaving ability to do it. I don't know if she will actually chop a mile. Some horses will not chop a mile. But at some point, I think you got to try to figure it out. And I think that if she is capable of chopping a mile, she will be killer good up in front. Bit of a lazy horse, but I think that she's the type that if she gets to the front and the horses are constantly coming to her, I think it's going to pick up her interest. I think she's going to drive on all by herself. I don't think James is going to have to do much work. And I think that she's going to enjoy it and hold them off. That's what I'm hoping for Pahokee tonight, but going right back to her.
Yeah, I did the same thing because I found that tonight she's hooked a group that I think she can beat.
That's what I'm thinking.
Last start out, the horse that won was Sushi Bar, which was Doug Brown's horse, and we were all excited to see Dougie in the winner's circle, but what did he do? He just sent Sushi Bar, and on last Thursday's program, a lot of the winners were horses that were just sent right down the road, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like I said about the track, it looks to me like they've maybe resurfaced it a little bit, so it's in good shape, no doubt about it, but it might be just a little bit thicker than normal.
Right.
Little deeper, I guess, than normal. And, if we don't see fast speed tonight, I think she could chop it on the front, and that's where I want to see her go.
We have a couple of horses in this race making their first start of the season. We have one making the first start of their life, that being the 2-horse PC Sunshine Girl. Let's flip the page and go to race number 2. Second half of the early double has a smaller group, just 6 trotters to compete here in the Ontario Sire Spring Series, and this is the second leg. So we'll have trotting fillies on tonight's program and pacing fillies on tonight's card, both of them for the leg 2. And here in race number 2, we have to take another look at Roxy Hart. She was so impressive back on April the 10th. Randy and I agreed that on April the 3rd, we thought that she came out of the onto the track a little keyed up and maybe a little almost like a firecracker ready to pop, and she did pop. She popped right at the end. Right at the very end she went off stride, but they had her all sorted out to handle that tough surface last week. She looked like a good thing and they sent her. Now last Thursday, that was the move. You had to send essentially to win races.
It seemed like that was the only way that you could really kind of get a good trip into them.
Well, because people are having problems seeing, you know,
Definitely.
and
Track was bad.
Track was a mess. Yeah.
I mean, just nothing was really going. Like you said, at least if you went to the front, you could see where you were going. The horse could see where it was going. So big advantage last week being up on the chopper. It didn't bother her whatsoever. You know, I think that she's going to be good to go back in here tonight. But I threw her in for second. We are going to go with a filly of Susie Kerwood's, or I'm going to go with a filly of Susie Kerwood's here. Now, to me, you know, that is a wicked last quarter on that crappy track that we had last week. You know, 28-1 over a sloppy track. So we do have this replay of Nightingale. And like I said, very lightly raced. Only 3 starts last year. Only the 1 so far this year, which ended up being in this nice third that we're going to see here. Kind of well hidden last week, whether it was due to the mud or the fog or whatever was going on, but she kind of had to, you know, I didn't notice her the first time when I actually watched the race. I think it was more or less because I was watching my top pick, Roxy Hart. But then when I went back and did the replays, I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, does this one ever race good? So, you know, right now she's kind of out in the middle of the track, and Jody's going to spring her. She's made up a lot of ground, you know, at the head of the lane, or at the 7th, she's off by 5 3/4, and look at the wheels that she pops right here. So Nightingale, you know, raced very, very well. I like the way that she was trotting. I like the run out. She's well gone on the run out. So I'm going to take a chance with her onto Roxy Hart.
Well, the other cool thing on Roxy Hart is the fact that I saw that this was Jeff Bayarjan's very first winner.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And also, I think last week was International Siblings Day.
I think there was,
Yeah, so after Roxy won, Sarah was here, and Sarah and Ben and Jeff all took a nice picture together with Roxy.
Yeah, that's nice to see.
It
nice
is.
to see.
Yep, it is. Alrighty, over to race number 3, the third race. Fillies and mares in for claiming tags here. We're going to look at tags of around $35 down to $25,000 with this field of 8 pacers. Superior to Delight is looking to keep the streak alive. Now she's had 4 wins in a row. Can she win her 5th in a row? The challenge, I think, would be the horse from the Husted barn, that being Fox Valley Tatum.
Yeah, tough. It's going to be a fairly snugger race. You know, I put her back up on top, and we have the replay of that last win for her. She's just like, she's so good right now, Superior Delight, you know. And what's interesting is that he was winning condition races with her. He won like the buffer between the maiden and the non-winners of 2, and then he won the non-winners of 2, and then he goes back to the buffer and wins that one as well. And then he elects to go right to the claiming route.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an interesting move, but it's really racking up money for this one. $37,000 she's got put away right now in 8 starts, and I think that she can come right back and double up. But there is one here that was also racing good back earlier in the winter, January, February. Fancy Lettering was racing good in this class. Her last time she won it by 4 lengths and 55. That was a good mile back in the first week of February. Then she's had the 1 qualifier to work with, 1 race at Rito Carlton, comes back here for Johnny McMillan and Louis Waugh. So I'm going to throw her in for second, but wouldn't be surprised to see her also come up with a pretty big effort. I mean, we're talking a stag party 4-year-old already with a speed badge of 51-2. You're not going to see too many of those in this field.
John Rallis has used the 1-horse My Last Kiss in the top spot. You get the top driver in James McDonald and Julie Walker, who we often think of with trotters, but she's got this nice pacer who won a couple in a row too.
She has, yeah, racing very, very well too. Another nice all bets off in here. And Jeff Hunt, throwing him in on the bottom. I still think that this Job Hunter, if he finds a way to kind of like not overdo it and race her down in amongst them, I think that she can come up with a big effort for Mr. Hunt.
Alrighty, race number 4 on tonight's program is where we kick off the pick 6 for the night. Now we do have that carryover for the pick 6, so that's exciting. Over $7,800 in the pool as we begin here in the 4th race with more Ontario Sire Series action. This is again a second leg for the pacing fillies and mares. We'll scratch the 4-horse Catch My Passion. That horse is out, and I thought that one might have been a player. So that horse not here tonight, but instead, I think one of the better horses in this race could be the one with the worst post position, and that's the Blake McIntosh trainee, Candy Kiss. When we were doing the qualifier report last Friday night, was it? Blake was just loaded for bear, right?
Yeah.
He is setting himself up for a really good 2025 campaign.
I think so, yeah. And he started it out last year with all them 2-year-olds, and it really looks like a lot of them nice 2-year-olds that he had last year. It looks like they've all transitioned and had, good returns as a 3-year-old. So I agree with you. I think he's setting himself up big time, let alone if he comes up with another nice crop of 2-year-olds this year. I agree. Candy Kiss is going to be tough to beat in here. I'm just kind of hoping the outside will take will maybe be the difference in here. I'm going to go the 5 horse here, the Lies We Tell. Kyle Bossens, she was a winner last week for Damian McClellan. I'm going to come right back with this one. I like the fact that she had the 2-hole left out of there, sat a nice 2-hole, and then still had some pop on the end of it. Able to get the best of Candy Kisses, more or less followed Candy Kiss every step of the way. Who's to say that it can't do the same thing again this week, with Candy Kiss having the outside of the Lies We Tell. So let's take a look at this one. Again, back to that bad kind of a night. You can see the weather, sloppy, 2 seconds off. So 56-4, pretty good mile in here. They all go a little bit wide here on the turn, and I think a lot of that to do with, again, visibility. Normally, you know what it's like, Elisa, when they come off that turn, their wheels are so close to those, to the pylons. A lot of times they'll go up inside them,
That's
so
a risk on a
this
night
time
like that.
we were way out, kind of out in the middle of the track. I think it's just the way that the track was playing, but it looked like he was playing a bit of possum early, but now well made, and on the run out, still going forward. So Lies We Tell, the way I'm going to go. What about you?
Well, I actually used the 9 because, the 5 kind of bugged me a little last week, to be honest. When we saw this horse warm up, I just wasn't 100% sure. And then you get that pop at 26-1. That was great. But I'm wondering if this horse can put together 2 big efforts in a row. I just don't know. I'd like to see that one warm up and close, and then maybe
We're getting
take
a little
second
bit
look.
more of a consistent read from the 9 horse.
We are, and
Yeah.
I didn't actually use the 5 in the second spot. I used the 7 in the second spot. That's the Louis Waugh horse, because remember last week Louis wasn't here, and so J.R. Plant took over, and now we go back to Louis, and Louis is a co-owner on this horse as well.
Which horse is that?
Oh, don't you do it to me, which means Lady of the Lake, or whatever it means.
I don't see no Lady of the Lake in here. I don't see it.
We'll wait for Chad. But I know it's Dulac. I just don't know the rest. Sorry, my French is not so good. Let's go to race number 5. One day I'm going to get even with this guy. Let's go to race number 5, a claiming event, and we're looking at some lower price claimers in here, 11 down to $8,000, but they're consistent horses. They're good older horses, and they make money for their connections. The 7, Bet 19. Ultra consistent for the McGuire outfit. Doesn't miss a check. Louis Waugh drives him here tonight. Louis has been aboard regularly with this horse. Of course, last week Louis wasn't in town. J.R. Plant picked him up, got him into the winner's circle on April the 10th. He goes back to his old buddy Louis here tonight, and I think Bet 19 will give you another victory. He's had 3 wins from 9 starts already this year.
Racing so well, and that's the big thing with J.F. McGuire's horses, right? They're very consistent. You hit a perfect word there. They're very consistent horses, I got him in for 3rd. I like Better Than Pride in for 2nd. I thought he raced very good in his last, had the 9-hole to work with. Jody was able to get him out of there, chop the mile, and end up with a nice victory. So I think he's on good game. I'm going to go back to Here's That Man again. Put him up on top in his last start. Almost got the job done. Finished sec, made up a lot of ground, but I think he needed that race. He'd been a little bit of a time in between. He's a bit of an old war horse, this guy. Sometimes he's kind of feeling the legs, and other times he's out there like a spring chicken. I'm not 100% sure if he didn't just kind of need this race to get that spring chicken thing sort of going. A little bit too much ground to make up, but I love the way that Tyler drives this horse. He's going to come right back with him tonight, so he's going to be my top pick in here. Again, Better Than Pride in for 2nd. Bet 19, Elisa's horse, in for 3rd with him. And Forefather.
Yes.
Big, interesting drop down for this guy. Going to leave the 14, 15, 18, 20 sort of claimers and move down into this 8 to 11. I don't ever remember this horse being down this cheap before,
Yeah.
so this is going to be a very interesting night, I think, for Forefather.
Gets onto the Lasix program too tonight, which is interesting as well. I don't know if this is just fast marketing, like to say, hey, you want him, come and get him. He's only $9,000. Or, you know, are they looking to try and change something up, hope that maybe Lasix will make things a little bit better for him? I know you're a second-time Lasix user kind of guy, but the other thing that I've learned from you over the years, too, is you're not really a big fan of horses that are on the drop that haven't necessarily been racing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got him in for fourth because, you know, I mean, he should be the best horse in this race. He truly should.
But you question it a little bit,
big
right?
time. And then that last start, you know, it was a vet lame, you know, in a 14,000 claimer, finished fifth in there, and then all of a sudden, boom, now we're into the 8 to 11, the little topple down. I say that, you know, he's probably maybe getting a little bit second-handed wise, but to the same effect, the back class that he brings, the horses that he's been racing against, he could make an instant impact right off the bat.
I'll tell you who's got an interesting horse in this race is John McMillan.
Yes.
John McMillan's horse, horrible post position tonight, has to work with the 10 hole, but is on fire at Rito Carlton, has won 3 races in a row. John obviously decided to fill up the trailer and bring a couple of horses here to compete with. And you get Dougie McNair, who's been very, very hot lately, who picks up the call.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even know the sire of this one. This is a new one for me, but I do know the Western Ideal on the end of it. But for a few dollars more, not really sure where that one does, that one hangs its hat.
Is this possible? Look at the breeder.
I see that it's from England, but I mean, it could be. Maybe that's
I don't know.
maybe.
Well,
I'm not
there
sure.
you go. It's GB beside it. And that's not Garnet Barnsdale.
There you
That's just
go.
GB.
That's
that means
it.
he's from good old Britain.
Good old Britain.
Now we know why we don't know the sire.
That's it.
All right, we're
You
going
know
to
the name of the movie, though, for a few dollars more?
Now I do.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. There you go. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Randy and I will take a look at the back half of this Thursday program.
In 38 years, slightly beyond a single generation, Brittany Farms has bred 47 horses that have earned $1 million or more.
And 2, it's a well-rated Father Patrick by a length and a half.
30 Breeders' Crown champions, and 17 horses the farm has bred or owned that are enshrined in harness racing's Hall of Fame. What's even more incredible? Maybe the best are yet to come.
In harness racing, there are options when it comes to owning a standardbred racehorse. You can own the entire horse, or you can share the horse with a few partners, or you can share with a lot of partners in a fractional ownership stable. Whatever option you choose, you'll find the experience of owning a racehorse connects people to horses and to one another in truly remarkable and sometimes unexpected ways. To learn more about standardbred racehorse ownership in Ontario, reach out to connect with someone who can help you get started on your journey.
If whiskey could talk, Johnny Walker Black Label will sing with notes of sweet, smooth toffee, rich fruit, and a touch of smoke. Tastes as good as it sounds.
More Ontario Sired Spring Series action. We'll be on the trot for race number 6 on the card to kick off the late pick 5 for you this evening. Fillies competing in this race in a field of 7. The 5-horse Deborah, a very impressive winner back on April the 10th. That was a night that I'm sure Mr. McClure is going to be very happy with because he had the whole family here. Remember, everybody was in the picture. He had a couple of winners on the program, and Deborah was one of them.
Yeah, I think the other one was Whiskey Blue Chip.
And you're going to see that one tonight, too.
Absolutely, yeah. It might be the night of Mr. McClure again. Uncle Bill back in town.
Didn't you make Uncle Bill the star of the card? I think you did.
I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Try it again. So Deborah loved her in that last one. Had her up on top. absolutely did not disappoint me in any way whatsoever. We seen her when Bill McClure come out with her earlier in the year. She was racing very, very good into the harvest. Didn't have a good go of it on the end in the harvest. You know, you can see that the first leg she was a winner. Then she was second in the second leg. Maybe should have kept it going there. She did have a nice chop going there, but couldn't finish it off. And then in the final, she ends up making a break. Down at 3-1 she was taken for that day, but then qualified. You know, the qualifier looked good. We come back to her and she hasn't missed a beat. Really looks good. Looks like she's going to be one of our, what I would guess to be anyway, one of our top probably grassroots trotting fillies. You know, maybe she'll make it up to the gold. I say probably a little bit more along the grassroots. We're still waiting for, or I'm waiting for the Blake McIntosh filly. I think her name was Mona Lishi last year. She was just an absolute bear cat, you know. So you know, a lot of them are going to have to try to, you know, duke it out with her. But I think that the grassroots may work a little bit better. But here she is. She comes out of the tool, and what I kind of like about her for a trotting filly, a little bit on the lazy side.
Yeah, I can see
Even
Bob
here,
going
you know,
to work.
Yeah, playing a little bit of possum, but every time that he asks her to go, she moves forward. And here she knows what she's doing. She just keeps moving forward. I'm going to go back with her because she races good in front. She races good from off the pace. And then I'm going to throw in the Curtis Clements, PC Chattahoochee, the 4-horse in there. I thought that this one also had a really, really good first opening leg of the spring series. She has the inside of the other ones that I like, so I'm going to throw her in as part of it too, but we got a sweep on the 5 in here.
Yeah, and the 7 kind of stands out as well, the Bax horse, only because she was second behind Roxy Hart. And if you like Nightingale earlier in tonight's program, then I think you got to take a closer look at her. I'm wondering what we're going to see tonight from the Green Book. I'm willing to give her another shot. I've used her for 3rd here tonight because last week Trevor Henry was down qualifying horses in Florida.
Right.
So it was Travis Henry who drove the Green Book, but now Dad's back in town.
Yeah, and we get a shoeing change. He's going to take the steels off in front, and he's going to go to aluminum. So, yes, we're quickening up a little bit for the Green Book.
Let's go to race number 7. 7th race on tonight's card kicks off the late pick 4. Back on the trot here, 5-year-olds and younger non-winners of 1 or $8,500 life in a field of 10. So a good full group here. You know, we saw a lot of these horses last week. You're seeing them again this week. Houston Sealster raced last week in the slop and just got beat late by who, Randy? Who?
We know that famous horse there from the movies.
Ungawa.
That's right.
And
Ungawa.
I liked Ungawa, and we got him home, so that was exciting. So that's why I went back to the 8 tonight. I'm going to use this horse up on top because I think that Ungawa reference is actually pretty good. I'll use that horse over Call Me Parker. Call Me Parker is making the first start of the season, but this is one that we saw in the Super Finals. I know it wasn't exactly the effort they wanted, but did make it all the way there.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing. I'm going to go with Call Me Parker, and not just, you know, not more or less because of the qualifier, because to me it was just kind of an average kind of a qualifier, nothing to really write home about, you know. We are going to see it, but I'm going to go with him because, you know, of the buzz that was going on about him last year as a 2-year-old. It wasn't a great 2-year-old campaign, but it certainly wasn't a bad 2-year-old campaign. And like Elisa said, just making it as far as the Super Final, you know, that's a big deal. That's a big deal right there. So that shows a lot of ability, a lot of talent for Call Me Parker. And I'm willing to take a chance that, you know, they just went kind of quiet on him in this qualifier and didn't do much. What I really like about him now, he is kind of high stepping a little bit up front, but my goodness, does he ever look good. Talk about the size that this horse has put on. He's really filled himself out really, really well. Got the side to side going with the head too, which I've always been a big fan of that. Not all horses do that on the trot. Some of them do, you know, they'll get the side to side going, and I found a lot of good horses will do that. Now he's playing a little bit of possum here again, you know, kind of into it, not into it. Am I into it? Am I not into it? But at all times he keeps going forward. So I think that, you know, they can come up with a big effort here. The one that I'm throwing in for second, the Barracuda, I thought that that was a good effort by him last start. That's that Rome Green Manalishi.
Yes.
He was coming forward on the end of it. The one that I really wanted to use, Elisa, was the 10 horse, but working myself back out, I thought it was such a good effort in that last race, you know, in against Sushi Bar. But that 10 hole, you know, it's just a little bit scary for me. So he's going to have to take a sit and wait approach for me. But I see Rawless has him in for second.
Well, you know, there were some great expectations for this horse. horse at one point, right? And then we've seen him combust a few times too. But like you said before, if he can stay flat, he's a pretty nice trotting horse.
Very fast on the end of it.
He is, sorry, yeah. So we'll watch for that, but tough post position to work with tonight. The 8th race kicks off the final pick 3. We're looking at Ontario Sire Spring Series action here and a field of 9. The 7 Whiskey Blue Chip is the other Bill McClure horse on tonight's program. Now this horse was the easier winner of the 2. Deborah won by like 3/4 of a length, whereas Whiskey Blue Chip won by 6 lengths in that crummy racing night back last Thursday. So, I don't see any reason why this horse can't come back and repeat. I just feel like tonight, Mr. McClure could double up again.
I agree. I got her in for second, and the reason is because I'm going to try to beat her. I agree with you, Lisa. I think that she's more than willing to, more than capable of coming right back and doubling up. But the thing that where I'm going to use Gucci Sealster up on top is because she has to make something happen here, Gucci Sealster. I think that Brett was leaving with her last week and she just jumped it off. It was a bad track. Maybe that was part of it. Maybe she hadn't been left with very hard before. She's just, only 4 lifetime starts. So, there was different reasons why, but I'm going to take a chance with her. The big reason being is I love her appearance on the track. I think she's a stunning looking individual. I love the way that she moves. So I think that she's just kind of like a little bit on the green side though, and just kind of like learning her game. So I'm going to go with her up on top of Whiskey Blue Chip. I think Whiskey Blue Chip has shown us the consistency of her. She's going to be the one to beat, but I think that Gucci Sealster, if she can get away, stay close, I think that she can get there. And if she doesn't, I also like the 4 horse in here too. She prefers Jen.
Me too, yeah. I used actually the 4 for second tonight, just thinking that she might have a good race too. Remember, a lot of these horses are coming in off of 1 race since a qualifier.
Right.
And, we've talked about this so many times where we're used to seeing 2 qualifiers. Now we're seeing 1 qualifier and a race. And you think to yourself, oh, maybe they need that one. Treat it like a qualifier, right? And now tonight we're ready to go.
And the thing is, too, is that they had the 1 qualifier, and then their 1 start was on a crappy track, which is a tiring kind of a track. So you didn't really get much of a read.
Well, she was in the 8th race, and that was after they scraped it, too. And that was a hard track.
It was a hard track then. And maybe that's why she made the break, too.
Could have.
Who knows? Maybe she just didn't like the hardness of the track.
It really was a totally different track from the beginning of the racing to after they scraped it down. Race number 9, fillies and mares in for claiming tags of 11 down to $8,000 to kick off the late double. Consistent horses in here. Wifey Said So, always good for the Cullens. Tamara Hanover goes first start off with a claim. She was collared off of a disappointing effort in that sloppy racetrack, I want to say, back on April the 10th. And she might not have liked the hard track either, but she was claimed and she does retain the services of James McDonald, who's had a little bit of fun with this one. You have Dolly Daydream from the McGuire barn. She likes to pick up checks. You got AK Back Badger from the Osceola barn. There's a few horses in here that could have something to say. I just feel like Wifey Said So is the now horse in this category.
Okay, I don't think we sent a replay in for this race.
No, I don't think so.
No, but I got it marked down.
You got one in
there.
your head?
I made a mistake.
Which one did you want to look at?
No, I didn't. That was the thing. I kept thinking, why did I send a replay in here? But I just marked it. I didn't send one in. Okay, I think that Tamara Hanover is really going to take a ton of support in here. She's going to more or less look like one of your logical ones. She had a nice win 2 down for Cam McQueen. Now she moves into Kyle Fellows' barn. She's picking up James McDonald. James drove her last 2. Now, she did make that break, but what a huge recovery that she made on the end of it there. So I think that everything is good to go. She's going to be probably, keep your fingers crossed, she's going to be on a better track tonight, more suited to her liking. I think she's the one that the race is going to go through. But I do think that Wifey Said So is also, as Elisa said, a very consistent horse for the Cullens. I mean, she shows 1 6th place, but that was because she made a breakdown in London. Everything else is basically 1 2.
Exactly.
13 starts this year, 11 times, 1 2. So I'm going to go take a chance with Wifey Said So that maybe Tamara Hanover, who doesn't show a whole lot of gate speed, but if James gets a little bit hesitant because she made that break, last week coming out of there. If he gets a little bit hesitant, I think that gives Travis the opportunity with Wifey Said So to get around him, and then maybe he's waiting for James to cover him up. And then that'll be an interesting kind of a race. But either way, 8-7's the way
They've
I'm gonna
hooked
go.
up against each other a couple times, and Tamara Sealster's got the better of Wifey Said So.
Yeah.
But I feel like tonight the tables turn.
Who knows,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is it. I think Tamara's like the bigger, stronger of the two. So, you know, she's probably going to get the advantage more. But the thing that I like about Wifey Said So is that she can get herself to where she needs to go to look for that good trip, and she is consistent.
She's a 13-time starter so far this year. 11 times she's either won or two. I mean,
And one of them was a break.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
One of them was a break. So there's one other one in there
it might have been a
somewhere.
clunker.
Like, come on.
Yeah, when she had a headache maybe that night. But otherwise, it's been pretty good. Race number 10 is the finale on the program where we play the jackpot high five. That carryover, more than $5,300. We're on the trot. Fillies and Mares non-winners of 2 or $30,000 life with now a field of 9. We're scratching the 10-horse International Love. That horse at 15-1 will not go. I found this one a little tricky. I thought that maybe you could look at a horse like, say, Ivy Lynn. You could look at Bright Green, who's been a player in the last couple of races, might even be sitting on a big effort here tonight. Beer and Sunshine Deo for Susie Kerwood. This is a new horse into her outfit. She did qualify the horse once on April the 11th, but I like horses that move into her barn. She gets a lot out of her horses.
She does, yeah. And she knows this one, right? She had this one earlier on. I mean, she was second in the Champlain with
Right,
this one
that's
as a
right.
2-year-old
Yeah, then she
trotting
sent it
filly.
down, yeah.
Yeah, and she owns it. So she sent it down to, it looks like to Michael Dieters, had it down on the States. Had a couple of nice seconds down there at Freehold. One of them going for $94,000,
Yeah,
Elisa,
good
New
money.
Jersey Sire
Just
Stake.
missed.
Yeah,
Just
just missed. Raced good too. She wasn't the favorite, so obviously good. Nice qualifier back. I'm going to wait on her a week. I'm going to
Yeah.
throw her in
Susie
for
likes
second.
to take her time.
Seems like it, yeah, and I don't really blame her. Now, Cadiddle, who's in beside her, I got her in for third. She's scary. This is a 4-year-old Cadabra. Boy, when she puts her head down the last quarter, she can make things happen. You can see that last week, 27-4 on
She
the end
can
of it.
skittle.
Yes, yes, exactly. Bright Green is going to be the way that I'm going to go in this one. I think that, last week, she come a tough trip, made front, and then ended up finishing second in there, gave it up a little bit on the end of it. The week before, she had a good locked-in second in that one. So I'm going to go Bright Green on this one. But Rich Girl, now this one's a very interesting one, too, this 8-horse. Doesn't really show anything like, goo goo gaga. She did race in the gold last year at Grand River, finished 5th in there. So obviously John liked her a little bit. Bob's been mostly going with her. But what scares me with her is that McClure, and I know that there's a lot of loyalty to Pentland, but still, he comes off of Wells Fargo for Sean Stacy. He comes off of Ivy Lynn for Tierney, and I think there was one other one too that he might have come off of, and this is the one that he settles on. So to me, anytime that McClure is down to drive a couple of what I would say logicals, and then he goes the exact opposite to in my opinion, illogical. Again, I know that there's a lot of loyalty to Pentland with Bob, but I don't believe that's his only decision. So if I was you, I would take a real strong look at this Rich Girl, maybe go by the odds, go by the way she's presenting herself out onto the track. I'm going to be taking a second look at her.
Who sang the song Rich Girl?
Isn't that those two? It's the guys from the 80s.
You're
Yeah,
close.
yes,
you got
yes.
two guys. Yeah, you're there.
Not Millie.
Horses eat one of the names. Horses eat them at night. They're with their
Hay?
dinner. Close.
Grain,
Yeah. What kind of grain?
oats.
Yes.
Hall & Oates. There you go. That's who it was exactly. Hall & Oates.
Oh, brother. Okay, what do we got tonight for plays in the night? We start things off with our singer in the room, Mr. Waples.
Okay, so we're going to start in race number 2, and we're going to go Nightingale. Again, Susie Kerwood, I think she could have a big night.
Song of the Nightingale.
As well.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nightingale going to be my Waples watch. Loved her in the mud in that last start. Hopefully she can come back with a big one. All in's going to be the Lies We Tell in race number 4. Worth a Look is going to be race number 5. And that's that Gucci Sealster. I haven't given up on her quite yet. And my Beat the Favorite is going to be Wifey Said So, because I do have a feeling that the horse to the inside of her, Tamara Hanover, is the one that's going to be taking the most support.
Yeah, hubba hubba on that Gucci Seal Star. If you're here on track, get a look at her. She's absolutely gorgeous. Let's see what I sent in.
Here we
Gotta
go.
remind myself here. My revenge horse is Candy Kiss. Looking for a revenge tonight. My upset horse is Houston Sealster in race number 7. My repeat is one of the 2 McClure horses, that being Whiskey Blue Chip, who won for fun, and I'm going all in on Ivy Lynn.
That's a good all-in, because
the
you know
last.
something, I think you're going to get a bit of a price on her.
You
too.
might, and
Yeah.
you know, it might help you out for the jackpot high five as well. So that's what I got for you tonight. Our resident handicappers have sent in their selections as well. Let's see what we have from our friends Garnet Barnsdale. He's got PC Sunshine Girl at 5-1 as his spot play. This is a horse in the opener on the program, right? Yeah, this is the first time starter for Peter Clement, so
Yep.
maybe he knows something about this firster, a filly by my MVP. Ghislaine has, of course, it's the Woman of the Lake
Cour
or something.
à tout du lac.
You very good.
Cour
You
à
get
tout
you
du
get
lac.
an
I get
A
a-
plus.
Gold star.
Okay, gold star. At least you don't have to stand in the corner. I bet you did that a lot.
Quite a few times.
4-1 the price on that one. And Industrialist 7-2 in race number 7 on tonight's program for John Rallis. That is Industrious. Oh, the Herb Holland
the Herbie
horse.
Holland,
Now
yeah.
don't get mixed up here. Herb's got 2 horses in that race.
They're side by side,
They're
too.
side by side, but this is the one you can rely on a little bit more because there's some flat miles with that horse. Whereas Checkmaster, the other horse that Herb's got in that race, is just not trustworthy at all. I don't think.
No.
Just my opinion on that one, but I think that's the better of the 2 ones. Alrighty. That's what we got. That is tonight's program. There are 10 races in store for you tonight. A little bit of everything on tonight's program, but most importantly, sunshine and a fast track for a Thursday evening. Good luck.